Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this event on the current situation in Syria. My name is Matthias Risse, and I'm the director of the Carr-Ryan Center for Human Rights Policy, and I'm delighted to be here in this current episode for a current conversation with Lina Chawaf. Lina is a Syrian journalist and also the CEO of Radio Rosanna, which is an independent Syrian media network that broadcasts from France. After the Arab Spring and the crackdown on dissent in Syria, Lina had to flee the country after her children received death threats from the Assad regime. She first moved to Canada and then later to France. And she produces programming that focuses on Syrian affairs. Specifically, there are also women's rights, social taboos, and gender stereotypes. So basically the kind of progress that Syrian society has been making around these issues. And over time, she has trained citizen journalists to become independent reporters inside Syria and has hired them also for their coverage to increase the Syria coverage. Since 2011, Lina has been at the forefront of covering Syria, both from her exile in Canada and France, and then also on the ground, showcasing really extraordinary courage and resilience in her reporting from an incredibly dangerous place. Through her work with Rosanna Radio, she has consistently amplified the voices of Syrians in all this turmoil, bringing their stories to the global stage so that people actually understand what is happening to people in Syria. And she is currently a Nieman Fellow here at Harvard University. So during this hour that we have together during our conversation, Lina will first, so we decided that it would be best, given that there's a lot to say about what's happening in Syria right now, that it would be best if we started by asking her to give an overview, which she will do also using some slides on the human rights situation in Syria over the last couple of decades, really leading us up to here. And in the process, she will highlight the experiences of Syrian journalists who have faced arrest throughout, torture, death at the hand of the incredibly brutal Assad regime for their reporting on just plain human rights violations. And she will also examine the evolving status of women's rights, tracing their development from the onset of the Syrian Revolution to the present day. So we also, I think we're going to hear also simply about what's going on right now. And then later, once Lina is done giving us this overview, I'm going to start a Q&A, a conversation with her. And please, everybody on the Zoom here, please put your questions in the chat, and I will keep an eye on the chat and bring your questions in as we proceed. But now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Lina Chawaf to our shared screen here. Over to you, Lina.
Thank you very much for this introduction, Matthias, and welcome everybody here and everybody who really to hear about Syria and what's happening. Let me start with really telling you who I am, and I'm so glad here that I'm here to present the Syrian, and I'm a victim of fighting for human rights, and especially women one in Syria. A lot of my Syrian friend died for this dream. Like there is many names I remember now: Basel, Riaz, May, and Fadwa. They are Syrian who give their life as a price for their dream. Their dream were a country full of freedom, dignity, and democracy, and they died for this. I survived by luck. I'm one of the Syrian survivors, and I have been fighting for the same value for Syria, my country, in the past 20 years. I grew up in Syria under one of the most brutal dictatorship in the world. I know exactly what it means to live in a country where speaking your mind can get you imprisoned, tortured, or killed. And I also know what it means to dream of something better. I remember always when we were all these years, 54 years of this dictatorship, I remember our grandmother and father, our parents, They have been always telling us like walls have ears. So I want to share some slides with you, just in case, like, to see like some what I'm talking about. Like, I'm just trying to find. Yes, it's here, and it's here. So I hope you can see my screen. So this is what I'm talking about. We call it Syria Empire of Silence. And this is why, like, our parents and our all like eldest in the family always say this, what I said before. So I have been working in the journalism field since now 20 years, as I said before, in something like we call, describe, as I said, Syria, it's the empire of silence. And we have lived under the most brutal regime in the world since 55 years, as I said before. Like the father, the Assad father, and then the son after him. Last year, before 8th of December, like I was saying, we have been living, but now I can say we have lived because, like, in 8th of December, as we know, all of us, 2024, like Assad fall and HGS, like the part of Al-Qaeda, Nusra, took over all Syria at this date. Before 2005, it was not allowed to practice journalism out of state media. And of course, state media is the voice of the regime only. And when they launched the permission to create a private media, it was only for an entertainment license. At this time, I was able to create a private radio called Arabesque, owned by like a businessman, Syrian businessman. At this time, we are not allowed to, this is Arabesque, it's Arabic, but just to have an idea what it was not allowed to talk any political content or any like Bolton, talk about any Bolton news or produce any like news. But even though I was able to create and produce critical content, but I was walking in a valley of landmine always. It was so dangerous to talk about anything in the country. I remember I learned how to walk between the red line. They put it for us. They always put a red line, and we learned exactly how to walk between all these red lines. Through entertainment, I was discussing the most difficult and sensitive topic on earth: violence against women, raping, sexual harassment, honor crime, and all the taboo that are in the Syrian society. Who doesn't know what is honor crime? Honor crime in Syria, it's a crime who happened, sorry, for women who lost virginity out of marriage or girl, and they are killed, even if they are a victim, but they become a victim and they are killed, and nobody can. Sorry. And the killer will be free according to the Syrian law. So I have been fighting for honor crime since all this time to change the Syrian law to protect the women from this crime. I got many pressure from the government when I was working for this Radio Arabesque, and from even the religion people in the society. I remember one day we published and broadcast on our radio a sketch talking indirectly about the oppression that we suffer from the government. And I remember like the Ministry of Media called the next day and like was threatening the CEO of the radio that he's going to close the radio directly because you are talking about something you should not talk about. So as I said, we were really walking as we walk on a landmine all the time and between the line. And we as a journalist working for media, I was invited every 6 months to an intelligence department. Like from the front door, they took my phone. They entered me into a place, to a room, a very small room. The room has only a table, chair, and white paper and pen, and they leave you there for 2 or 3 hours, and they ask you to write your everything about yourself. And this 2 hours or 3 hours, and everything connected to you, your family, and they left you there for all this, like 2 or as I said, and then they came and they took you to guide you to their officer, the big boss, to a very luxury office. And then he said, we are very sorry to keep you waiting all these hours. Please have a seat. And it seems my soldiers are stupid because they forget to guide you here before. So this was like, and like the officer delivered a threatening message indirectly that you have to be responsible about the security of your country, something like this, and then he left. So it was always like every 6 months we have to go there and have this like interview with the officer to give you all this message. Even like I remember when I was doing my show about this sensitive taboos, I was receiving religion, people in the studio asking me who is the host who presents, because it was radio, hosts this show, we want to meet her. And then they were meeting me and asked me to stop talking about all the sensitive issues because it will destroy the society. And of course, I was like continue and refusing this. And I kept doing this till 2011 when we start our revolution. I'm gonna if you see this slide, this is it's without a sound, but just have I don't think it will, yeah. It was like a very successful program on the radio. It's talking in a very funny way about women rights. So it become very public at this time and very popular. So we were doing this on this radio. Then as I said, in 2011, the revolution come. We are part of the Arab Spring, Syria, like as we know, like Arab Spring start from Tunisia. And as an editor-in-chief in this radio, Arabesque, I was like start to be asked by the intelligence people of the regime to, of course, broadcast their propaganda on our air. The propaganda said that those Syrians who demonstrated in the street are terrorists and jihadists. And because I was one of them, I was there and I know what the demonstration was, I refused. And I said, but it's not true. Those people just want like freedom and dignity. The owner of this radio started to put a lot of pressure on me to spread the story of the regime because they were pro-regime and at the same time they were afraid from the regime. I kept refusing to broadcast any propaganda or hate speech on the air of the radio. They started threatening me for months. till the moment where they sent a very clear message through one of my friend saying, leave the country now or we will kill your children and never think to come back. In a couple of days, like I was obliged to flee with my children, like pack all like the most important thing that we can take it with us. Then from exile, I continue my fighting from for my value and continue doing the same things that I was doing, like give voices to voiceless. So I create another radio called Rosanna. It's broadcast from France and the Turkish-Syrian border to Syrian inside Syria. So I'm like here, this is Rosanna. This is part, we have all the social media and you can scan and watch the English version from it, from this QR. So what happened after this, like during our broadcasting with Rosanna Radio, citizen reporter who have been working with us came to the border and took a lot of training, how to do an independent journalism and how to protect yourself while you are reporting from inside Syria, in the middle of all like this, like there were a lot of bombing, arresting, killing, how to be able to work between all this like dangerous and armed group, of course, not only the Assad regime, because Syria will come after controlling by different authority. So each area is under different authority, like Jabhat Tahrir Sham, like a part of Al-Qaeda and the regime, and the Kurdish part and ISIS for a while, for like a couple of years. So I can say that since the beginning of the revolution, 2011, until now, and according to SGA, like the Syrian Journalist Association report, I can say that 1,546 violations against media and journalism in Syria and abroad documented. And I can show you too here the like the report that they did it. So this is only, I'm talking about, of course, journalists here. The problem, the surprise that is happened, we were like fighting in the beginning for Assad regime, and then after it lead out, like we got, for example, me, I got threatened from other armed group affiliated with the revolution, unfortunately. Like I already mentioned them, like HTS and Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and like all the authority that they have fighting inside Syria. And this is exactly what happened with our correspondent in Rosanna. We lost two of them in the Assad regime area where they have been discovered by the regime, that they are reporting for us, even that they were reporting under a nickname, and they were arrested, and in 1 month they were being bring back to their parents' body killed and under torture, unfortunately. The parents had to sign a paper that their son died in a heart attack. And we have another, like two correspondents from Rosanna were taken by ISIS in 2014. Until now, we don't know anything about them. If they are dead or alive, we don't know anything. I'm gonna show you their picture. This is our correspondent that we lost them in many different areas. So like I talked about the two that we lost under the regime, and two were taken by ISIS, and one of them he was killed in the area of al-Nusra, like in a bullet in his head while he's reporting. So the freedom of press was surrounded by all the armed group inside Syria, unfortunately, at this time. So when the Syrian Revolution began, we weren't fighting for power or revenge, as some media said. We were fighting for dignity, for human rights. And we believe at this time that the world will stand with us. We believe that the defender of freedom would help, but it seems like we were wrong in this as Syrian. What happened really that if we all remember, like in the United States, Obama said that the chemical weapon in Syria is a red line. Then in August 21, 2013, rockets containing sarin gas were used to attack opposition control area in suburb of Damascus. And it repeated 2017, another chemical attack in the middle of Syria and Idlib, and in 2018 too, it's repeated again. Entire family died in one night in their home. In suburb of Damascus, in one night, I remember 1,600 Syrian, most of them women and children, killed by the chemical attack of the regime. And the world was watched, statements were issued, condemnation were made, but in the end, no real action was taken, unfortunately. And those who claimed to stand for human rights failed to protect the most basic one. So at this time, we saw that the red line that it was talking about wasn't just crossed, it was erased, unfortunately. Meanwhile, during like my journalism work, I never expected that. I started being threatened by the regime, and I ended up threatened by all the opposition group, as I said before, like for many content. So for many content in Rosanna we were publishing, we get try to get censorship from many parties. And same scene repeated, like the one I say it when I was in Arabic inside Syria, and the religion people visited me to ask to stop talking about this. Like same scene, like Muslim Brotherhood visited me in Rosanna again and asked to stop talking about human rights, and I have to delete all the content that I'm talking any human right or woman right because I'm gonna destroy the society again and again. And of course, again, I refused. And what's happened, they start a huge media campaign against the radio, Rosanna, and against me. And I remember one story that we published about like a violation that happened from one opposition armed group, and I get an email like threatened from them that if you don't like delete this report, we will consider you as an enemy for revolution. And so what I'm trying here to say that unfortunately we get like threatened in our work from all the parts. Here are some of the media campaign that it's in Arabic, but it's just to give an idea how much and many like posts put, this is some of it, in social media against us, and part of it, it's so bad word, you know. And here it's full like video and 4 minutes, very professional one, talking about like the radio and about and criticizing us that we are going to destroy the society, unfortunately. So, and while I'm doing this, like I smuggled into Syria between 2014 and 2016 to do many reports from there and to cover the opposition area, especially, and like really finding out how much like freedom of expression we still have, how much we can still talking in the opposition area, and you know the area who must with the revolution, how much the level of the freedom of expression that we can talk. And I did many report from there many times. So, but last time I smuggled it into Syria, it was about to be, I was about to be killed by a bullet from the Turkish police when I tried to smuggle it back to Turkey. Really, the bullet, I remember, passed so close to my head. So after this time, it was the last time I didn't do it again. I tried many times to enter Syria again, but the Turkish police, they didn't let me in legally. I was banned from them to go to Syria because I'm a journalist, and I was, like, as I said, threatened by all the armed group there. So it was so dangerous to go inside. And as we all know, Assad fell at 8th of December 2024, as I said in the beginning. So Syria now is under the control of HTS, as I explained before. HTS, they are part of Al-Qaeda. They call Jabhat Tahrir al-Sham. So when Assad fought, I wrote in Boston Globe an opinion article saying we are happy, but we are worried. But now, like, it has been now 4 months and more actually. We still have hope, especially now we have a new government, if you know, and one of the minister, she's a woman, and she take the Ministry of Social Affairs, and she's from minority in Syria, so she's so very educated and open-minded. She has been working for the Syrian woman all the way since the beginning of the revolution. This is why we have some hope when they launched this government. So we know that HTS before, when they were controlling the other area inside Syria, that they were, like, all the women there in the area, they're wearing now niqab, and where Syrian women never wear niqab. But what we notice that HTS now, they are trying to change. Maybe they are aware that if they want to lead Syria for a better future, or really at least lead Syria, they are aware that they cannot lead it as they lead it in Idlib, in the middle of Syria. So I'm gonna show some, again, some like here when I was in Aleppo, and this is the report that I do it about the freedom of expression. When I was smuggling into Syria, I was obliged really to like, as you see, wear something that they will not recognize me as a journalist, and or I will be in a very dangerous situation. I will not continue with the video, but I'm just to have an idea. And then here, when I'm talking about when the Assad failed, and here the violation that I talked about, and how, as you see, the Syrian regime, the highest one, of course, and Tahrir al-Sham, they are the HTF. There is a violation from them. And PYD, this is a Kurdish part. So I'm just saying, showing this just to know that all of them, they were doing violation against journalists. So I think I give a good idea about Syria in general. Our media now inside, as Rosanna, we are inside and we will continue fighting from inside. It's much better. We don't know what will, we still a little bit aware what will like bring us from the current government, but we are hoping and just to have a better future, and we keep fighting for this. We know that our battle is not finished yet, and we know that we will continue doing this, but from inside Syria. So I hope that I give a very good idea about Syria, and if there is any question not understood, I will be here to answer all your questions.
Thank you, Lina. So I think one thing that is probably on a lot of people's mind about the current situation in Syria, what's going to be the future? I mean, obviously, can't be asking this in a crystal ball sort of sense, but given what you see, in particular, Ahmed al-Shara, who comes from the Islamic extremist end of things, who showed in Idlib a face of governance that we are hoping will not be replicated in Damascus, but really seems to be trying to go into a different direction. And Syria obviously is a very complicated situation with these different ethnicities, different religions, deep background to everything. So it could turn very seriously into a failed state or not. What is your assessment of him and the people who are around him? And before you answer, I should say, anybody please put your questions in the chat, so I'll channel them once they come in. So, sorry, Dina.
In the chat or in question and answer like that. We are ready for you. And if somebody they can share by voice or no?
No, the format doesn't allow for that, but in the
okay.
in the chat.
All right. Yeah. So what we like, as I said, we in the beginning we were so worried. We still worry, of course, but what before when the HTS and Ahmed Shara they were acting in the middle of Syria. As I said, they were really against freedom of expression. They were like split women and men, like everywhere individual. They didn't allow women to, for example, go to high education. They oblige all the women to put niqab, not only a scarf, where Syrian women never do this. And they're trying to, as I said, like really forbidden the media to talk about many things that they don't like, but not. They didn't do it as the Assad was doing. Like Assad was like the most, brutal one, and as you saw in the slide, like they are the most. One who really did violation and killed journalists and arrested and even people, bomb people. So, but it seems like now he's taking things in a different way. It seems like he understands that there is a country around him. He has to make some political, agreement with them. He has to be able to, if he want to be able to control all Syria, he has to be changed. But his people, we don't think that they agree everything that he does. So there is, I think, something inside the government.
Right.
Is not in the same.
Yeah. So, but you're saying it's one thing for him to kind of own up to the new responsibilities, but the people he has led so far may not have the same capacity to actually change alongside him. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't agree on the way he does. I don't think they want more conservative, more extreme, you know, but he changed. And like if we saw his wife, this is first time with a normal scarf where the woman in Idlib put niqab. So it's for us it was so strange, you know. It's not not normal, you know.
Yeah. So one very troubling symptom of possibly things to come were these atrocities against Alawites some weeks ago, which I suppose in the larger scheme of things is not too surprising that that happens, because this is a group that has benefited enormously, because the Assad family is from that group, and many of them have been part of the regime. They have benefited from they were the ones who were in the security forces, and many of them just kind of they went away, which means they went home, right? So probably many security forces basically just went home to their families. So it's not terribly surprising that there would be fighting and that there would be atrocities. But how is this boding for the future? These particular attacks on the Alawites.
Actually, this attack that happened in the coast where the Mast Alawi are there, it was so worrying for us because all the Syrian people are now afraid to have a civil war, you know, after what happened. And maybe it will happen if we that like there is the family and the mother who lost their sons and kids and children in the under torture in the prison of the Assad, and who is like he really used the Alawi against the whole population, unfortunately, the ethnic of Alawi. So we are afraid, and in the media we are fighting now the most difficult thing, that the hate speech that it spread in the media and the social media, that those people that are involved in killing us, and it's not true, you know. It's not true. The simple people, they are not involved. So we are afraid. Media are working to fight this. Activists are working to fight this. We don't want our country to go in a civil war, because it's a circle where you never stop, you know. And who pay the price? Us, like the civilian, not the leader, not the government. This is us who will pay the price of entering a civil war now. So we are afraid. We are doing a lot of awareness messages. We are doing a lot of like if something spread it in the media or social media, we take it and we say this is not true. This is fake news. So please be careful. Don't listen to anything in the social media. So this is what we are doing now.
Let me bring in a question from the audience, which also turns us more systematically to the situation of women in Syria. So, so first of all, this question is this question is wondering, where you are right now. And I'm assuming you are in Cambridge, but maybe you can just alert us a little bit more. So where are you now? And maybe you can add to this question also, do you actually plan? I mean, could you see yourself going back to Syria? And then the second part of this question is what is the internal support in Syria for women, possible ways of resistance? So what is the situation of for women in Syria?
I'm now in Cambridge, as you say, because I'm Nieman Fellow, so I have a fellowship here. So I arrived here beginning of September, and I will finish my fellowship end of May. The situation of women in Syria is different between area and area. This is what I explained when I taught. We still have a lot of difference because it's not yet generalizing everything all over Syria. So the opposition, when we call it the opposition, what were opposition area, what HTS were controlling before taking over Syria, it's more, as I said now, it's more conservative, more woman has to put, like obliged to put niqab if they're like teaching or doing anything or do capacity building for other women, they fight them We do a lot, like we did a lot of training there. I remember in capacity building, they were coming and stopping the women in the middle of the like workshop on training. No, you should not do this. You have to stop. You are not allowed to do this. So this is what was. Now everything is, we call it on the brink. We don't know what's happened, or like we had everything on like really handled. The situation is stopped. But in Damascus, it's different. It's a capital. It was under the regime. It's still, there is a lot of ethnic there, so it's different. But as I said in the beginning, our law in Syria doesn't protect the women's rights. So I talked about honor crime. So it's everywhere in Syria, like women killed. If they are lost virginity out of marriage, they kill, and nobody pay the price of the killing. So this is the situation of the women in Syria.
So another question that came in is so you spoke about the red line, right? So Obama became first famous and then notorious for using the red line around you talked about that, right? The chemical weapons, and of course there's was a lot of discussion about that, a lot of what this means for an assessment of Obama. Samantha Power in her book The Education of an Idealist has a whole chapter on that, right? So since that was the time when she was involved in advising on such matters, and she explains in great length how complicated things were with that red line, how complicated the politics around that were, and how in the end, even though Obama was very sincere around that, he just couldn't make it happen politically, this intervention. But so now we have this, right? So we have this association between red line and Syria, right? And so the question that came in is, what constitutes, or is there a new red line that would signal international forces to intervene in Syria, or is basically, how do you think about that? Is there how do other countries relate to Syria? What does Syria, in a way, one can ask this both ways, right? So how bad can it get bad in a way that other countries would intervene? What would it take for other countries to be involved in a supportive manner? How is the international context that Syria is in?
I think it's a very critical question, because I don't know. Because when Obama said it's a red line, we believe it, and Syrian kept like screaming and said like, and we didn't think at all that after that we like anything would happen with chemical attack, that the world will left us like this. I don't know, but there is many important pillar around Syria. There is like Israel, there is Palestine, there is Turkey, there is the Kurdish part, who is the very critical point for Turkey. So there is many pillar. It's we can say, and we can like think that this would be the red line, but we never know, because we tried before and we found out that the red line is erased. So we don't know, but what we know that Syria is in a very geographic sensitive location, and so we know that it will be and there's something very important I have to say here. The war that it was, or the revolution, they call it war again. I was always saying this revolution became an international war inside Syria, because all the big countries were fighting inside, like Russia with USA, with Turkey, with like everybody were like, you went there and you find all kind of armed group who bring their weapon from different, political money, so it's, and the Gulf, the Saudi Arabian, the Emirat, everybody, everybody involved in Syria, all the country. So it's become really an international war inside Syria, and who was paying the price are the Syrian people, the civilians.
Yeah. So I mean, just to come back to the question I forwarded in earlier, could you actually, I mean, in terms of as an expression of confidence in the future of the country, could you see yourself, let's say 10 years from now, 5 years from now, can you imagine moving your family back to Syria, or is just in terms of the trauma that you went through, and I mean, in a way, almost regardless of what's happened, is that just not an option for the Chawaf family?
Yeah, actually, my family is like all of them are outside. Like my children are outside. My parents had to leave too because they are under threatened. So we are
Yeah.
everywhere in the world. So I don't know. I'm struggling nowadays. Like I'm thinking every day what I'm gonna do after I finish Nieman. Should I
Yeah.
go back? I'm safe if I go back, or I'm not safe. I don't know. For many
Mm,
reasons. I'm a woman. I'm a journalist, and I have been fighting for this since long time. And I'm telling the truth. I'm not all the parties like the
mm,
truth, all the time. So
mm,
I don't know. But
mm.
anyway,
Yeah.
if I go now, I'm not in a very safe place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me bring in some more questions. So, next question here is while the new government is planning to write a new constitution, that means the country during that time will stay under an emergency law till they finish it. And so the questioner says this might take up to 7 years, right? So basically, we're in for a rocky road here, a long-term prospect of constitutional design. So how will this affect the human rights status in Syria? I mean, obviously, this is, the uncertainty dimension will kick in big time. But how do you, I mean, this is also in a way connected to this larger question. There's so many exile Syrians, right? So many educated, and I mean, the large
Mm.
parts of the German healthcare sector depend on Syrians, right? Lots of Syrian medical doctors, nurses in Germany, and to such an
Yeah.
extent that people in the healthcare sector in Germany were actually getting worried about
Yeah.
them all leaving. But I'm assuming they're not going to be leaving anytime very soon. But so the question is really about how do we see the uncertainty that comes with the constitutional design process?
The big problem that everything comes with emergency, even in the world. Look, it's any country want to do like if violation against the human right. They said we have an emergency law now, an emergency situation, so we are like we can like arrest anybody, anytime, like in the street, So, so under emergency title, you can do anything. 7 years is too much. This is what we found it. But at the same time, we think that the country is full of weapons, as I said, full of armed group, very
Yeah.
like separated. Each
Yeah.
armed group take money from different, party
Yeah.
from different country. It's not easy to collect all this weapon in a very short time and bring people, to calm down and not to fight after 14 years of fighting. We believe in this, but at the same time, 7 years, we don't know how human rights will be protected. And this is why I said before, we have to keep fighting for it from inside, just not to forget that we have human right and we're fighting for it. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, but 7 years too much. But let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a question about the background of your work about Radio Rosanna. Can you tell us a bit more about Radio Rosanna, the content of its programs? How are they received by its listeners? What have you learned from the interactions? If you have any stories or anecdotes, I'd love to hear them. That's what we'd love to hear them.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so Rosanna Radio is a community media who believe that that change has to come from the bottom of the society. So this is why when we start in 2013 and we keep like broadcasting till now. And as I said, like we move our transmitter were in the border because we could not broadcast inside now. our transmitter are inside Syria. And this is very, like, we are happy that finally we are broadcasting inside our country. So the program inside, like Rosanna, it's all connected to community, to society. We engage our audience. As I show, like the program of the women, we have a specific program for women who can bring the voices of women and give them a voice, while it's in our society, it's a little bit for the woman, for example, to go to a mental health center or to talk about her mental issues, it's a little bit not accepted. So with the radio, she can talk, nobody can recognize her because it's only voice. So they can talk more, they can express themselves, they can express their problem. We had a lot of story told by women who get like sexual abusing and sexual harassment by their, for example, humanitarian NGO who has to spread the aid, you know, and they try to abuse her as a woman, and she was, and this something that get awareness for other women, and let even the NGO who working in humanitarian aid a little bit afraid that there is a media who's talking about this, so they feel they are under accountability from the media. And this is very important. And this is why we feel like our role really to be accountable on all humanitarian and civil society organization, and on the authority, of course, on the regime, especially now. We have to have a very big role on this, but at the same time, we bring all the voices of the Syrian people, try to engage them through our social media, and all our program is society, community, health, solution journalism, who give solution to the people who live under a very, very, very difficult circumstances till now, especially inside Syria, who 75% of Syria is destroyed now.
Yeah. So maybe one last topic, so a bit of a heavy-duty topic. Satnaya prison has been a lot in the news. There's been a lot of on the minds of human rights people, and I mean, this is one of the truly most awful torture sites that have been around in a while, and just also the sheer extent, right? I mean, this is like a massive facility for torturing critics, and many thousands of them. And so is Syria in any kind of shape where one could have thoughts about transitional justice, kind of ideas about holding people accountable, going after it's happened under universal jurisdiction, right? So in Germany in particular, actually various people were identified because there's so many Syrians in Germany. They see they are torturers on the street, right? And given principles of universal jurisdiction for such cases that are applicable in Germany, they get arrested, and some of them have been sentenced. But of course, this is a fairly large problem, right? That there's been a facility with a whole lot of staff who were actually involved in torturing people. Is this something that the al-Shara government will be in any position to tackle, or will they say, this is going to be, either we don't have capacities, or we're not going to go after people because we have a lot of other things going on, and we don't want to, we don't want to kind of awaken issues that might be put aside at least for quite some time?
Yeah, actually, Ahmed al-Shara, or the regime, the current regime, they are still weak to be able to control everything in the country. This is a big problem. They were controlling very small part in Syria. There's a big problem now that how they are going to really bring all, as you said, the justice, the transactions, justice for all these people.
Yeah.
And he's saying, he promising that we will bring, and I think he want to do it because he doesn't want to go and enter the country in a civil war. but we don't know if he will be able. This is why we have hope in the new government, because the new government, there is a lot of people in the new government. They are really expert and they can do things. We believe in them, you know. Part of them, they are really very good. So let's see, because he's alone, he cannot do it. He cannot do it. He cannot control the whole Syria. And this is very obvious that he cannot. In the beginning, when he took over the Syria, he released all the policemen. And then no security. And then people start to ask him, please bring the policemen back. And he said, no, they are the men of the old regime. But it's not true. People want to live. So people want to feel secure in the country. So he finally bring them back, and but this is why I'm saying they are weak. They don't know how to lead the country. They don't have this experience really. They listen a lot, they asking a lot, but we don't know where we still. But with the new government that it's in place now, we hope that things will be really, really much better. And really,
so this is probably a good place to end on, right? An expression of hope, right? So hope we must have, right? And I would say for Syria, for Syria also, I mean, there is reason for hope, right? I mean, we see that things have, they took over the capital and things have not collapsed, right? Not immediately, right? And not so far, in spite of, there were these atrocities against the Alawites, but it's not like we see like a large scale collapse. I mean, obviously we know what the difficulties are, but there is definitely grounds for hope, right? Would you agree with that as a parting thought?
Yeah, we have always to have hope, or we cannot continue anything in life. So of course we have hope, and as I said before, we have to continue fighting for the value that we have been fighting for all the time: human rights, freedom of expression, democracy, and dignity. This is the most important thing.
There's one comment that just came in, and that really is the last thing I want to say, since that is the best thing one can say. Thank you for the hope and the inspiration, Lina. Thank you for all the work you have done over the years. So if you can have hope, then the rest of us can also hope. So thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.